Have you ever felt trapped by anxiety? You have an important presentation tomorrow. But tonight your mind keeps replaying, what if I forget my lines? What if the audience doesn't like it? The more you think, the more nervous you get. You've just submitted a project proposal. Yet you check your email every half hour. Worried your boss might reject it and ask for revisions. You plan a weekend trip. But days before, you're already stressing about the weather or traffic, and in the end, you tell yourself, maybe it's easier to just stay home. You constantly crave certainty, wanting every situation to have a clear, predictable outcome, and when things don't go as planned, panic sets in. It's not that you're timid or overthinking. What's really at play is something psychologists call the need for cognitive closure, an excessive desire for certainty that ironically makes you even more anxious. What exactly is the need for cognitive closure? The concept was introduced by psychologist Ari Kruglansky and further developed with Donna M. Webster. At its core, it describes a person's strong desire for definite answers when faced with ambiguity or uncertainty. We feel uncomfortable not knowing, so we rush to find clarity and close the open loop in our minds. It's our brain's way of regaining a sense of control and reducing anxiety. In simple terms, it's that inner urge to settle the question. When something is unclear, it feels like a stone hanging in your chest. Only once you get an answer do you feel relieved. For example, after an exam, you might immediately check the answers, even if you discover you got something wrong. It still feels better than not knowing. Or when you sense tension with a friend, you can't stop wondering, are they mad at me? Until you finally ask, hey, are we good? And hear, yeah, it's fine. This need isn't inherently bad. It helps us make quick decisions and avoid endless hesitation. For instance, when comparing several job offers, it pushes us to evaluate and choose efficiently. But when the need becomes too strong, it turns into an obsession with certainty. You start rejecting all risk, demanding that everything be under control, and that's when anxiety takes over. You might stop going out for fear of accidents, avoid investing for fear of loss, or overthink every possible outcome. Gradually, your world shrinks, and the more you seek control, the less peace you actually have. Why do we feel anxious about uncertainty? When our need for cognitive closure becomes too strong, 3 psychological mechanisms start to drive our anxiety. 1. We're wired to fear losing control, and naturally try to avoid uncertainty. Humans have an innate fear of losing control. Uncertainty means, I can't predict or manage the outcome, which triggers the brain's threat detection system and creates anxiety. For example, when you're unsure whether your presentation will go well, you feel tense because the result seems out of your hands. When you don't know how your boss will react to your proposal, you start worrying it won't be accepted. Again, a loss of control. People with a high need for cognitive closure have an especially low tolerance for that sense of helplessness. They rely on clear outcomes to reassure themselves that they're still in control. But the moment something unpredictable happens, anxiety spikes. Think of someone who plans every detail of their day. If even a small thing, like getting stuck in traffic and running late, disrupts the plan, they instantly feel irritated and say, everything's ruined, I've lost control. 2. The information gap effect. Uncertainty keeps our minds hooked. Psychologist George Lowenstein proposed the information gap theory, which explains that when we realize there's something we don't know, our brain creates a powerful urge to fill in the missing information. This gap keeps our attention locked on the unknown, making it hard to focus on anything else, and the longer it stays open, the more anxious we feel. For example, after submitting a project proposal, you can't stop wondering, what does my boss think? And find it impossible to concentrate on other work. Or after a small argument with a friend, you keep replaying, are they still upset with me? Unable to relax until you know for sure. People with a high need for closure have a low tolerance for these information gaps. They can't stand not knowing. They feel compelled to fill in the blanks immediately. Otherwise, the uncertainty gnaws at them. That's why, when they send a message and don't get a reply right away, they keep checking their phone again and again, even wondering, did I say something wrong? Only once they receive a response can they finally let it go, but by then, the mental toll has already drained them. 3. The negative expectation bias. When uncertainty makes us imagine the worst. When people with a strong need for cognitive closure face uncertainty, they tend to fall into a negative expectation bias, automatically assuming that things will go wrong. Before a presentation, they might think, "I'll probably forget my lines or mess it up." After submitting a proposal, they might worry, "My boss won't like it," or "I'll have to redo everything." This mindset amplifies anxiety, creating a vicious cycle. The more uncertain you feel, the more negative your thoughts become, and the more anxious you get. Psychological research suggests this bias is actually a form of self-protection. By expecting the worst, people try to soften the blow in case things really do go wrong. But instead of protecting them, it just brings the anxiety forward in time. For instance, by imagining your presentation will be a disaster, you may feel mentally prepared for failure, yet that very anticipation makes you nervous beforehand, hurting your actual performance when the moment comes. The price of chasing certainty. Many people believe that seeking certainty reduces anxiety. But when taken too far, this pursuit can backfire, increasing anxiety instead of easing it. So, what are the hidden costs of always trying to make everything predictable? 1. Missed opportunities. Many opportunities in life come with uncertainty, a new job that could help you grow but might be challenging to adapt to, or a business idea that could succeed or fail. People who fear uncertainty tend to avoid risk altogether. They might turn down a great job because they worry about not fitting in, or give up on starting a business for fear of failure. In the end, they stay stuck in place, safe, but stagnant, missing out on growth and new experiences. 2. Mental exhaustion. To feel in control, they invest enormous energy trying to eliminate uncertainty. They rehearse a presentation dozens of times to avoid any mistake, or triple-check every detail of a plan to prevent surprises. This over-control drains both time and energy, leaving them even more anxious. For example, someone planning a weekend trip might spend 2 days checking the weather, traffic, parking options, and confirming details with friends. By the time everything's perfectly planned, they're too tired to enjoy the trip. 3. Inability to accept change. Life, by nature, is uncertain. Traffic jams, bad weather, and sudden changes are all part of it. But those who overvalue certainty struggle to cope when plans shift. A small disruption makes them irritated or panicked. They may even avoid new experiences altogether, skipping trips for fear of accidents or refusing to try new hobbies out of fear they'll fail. Gradually, their lives become narrow and monotonous. Safe, yes, but joyless. We need to learn to accept that some things will remain unresolved. Anxiety caused by an excessive need for cognitive closure can be managed. And these 4 methods are proven to be effective. 1. Accept that uncertainty is the norm. Learn to live with things being unresolved. Life is full of uncertainty. Your presentation might go smoothly, or it might not. Your proposal might be approved, or might need revisions. Your friend might be upset, or might not even care. All of that is normal. Remind yourself, uncertainty is not a problem to be solved. Not everything needs to have a clear outcome, and not everything is under your control. For example, before a presentation, don't tell yourself, "It must go perfectly." Instead, think, "I hope it goes well. But even if there are small mistakes, that's okay, I'll just do my best." After submitting a proposal, don't fixate on getting approval. If your boss gives feedback, make adjustments. If not, just move on to your next task without overthinking it. The less you cling to a specific outcome, the less fear you'll have of uncertainty, and the more peace you'll find in the unknown. 2. Build tolerance for uncertainty through small experiments. You don't have to jump straight into big uncertainties. Start with small, low-risk situations to train your comfort with the unknown. For example, if you used to avoid trying new restaurants because you were afraid the food might be bad, pick one with good reviews and tell yourself, even if it's not great, it's just one meal. If you're the type who anxiously waits for an immediate reply after sending a message, try doing something else first and check your phone an hour later instead. These small experiments help you realize that uncertainty isn't as threatening as it feels. You start to see that, not knowing right away doesn't lead to disaster, and that you can still focus on other things in the meantime. Over time, your tolerance for uncertainty grows, and your anxiety gradually fades. 3. Shift your focus. Stop fixating on what's uncertain. When uncertainty starts to consume you, the best thing you can do is redirect your attention to something you can focus on, like reading, cooking, or exercising for half an hour. Taking action is one of the most effective ways to ease anxiety. By engaging in another activity, you give your mind a break from the endless cycle of worry. For example, after submitting a proposal, resist the urge to keep refreshing your inbox. Instead, start working on another task or take a short walk to reset your mind. Before a presentation, don't dwell on, "What if I mess it up?" Tidy up your slides, review your notes, or chat with a colleague instead. Shifting your attention isn't avoidance. It's giving your brain space to reset, so anxiety doesn't take over completely. 4. Adjust your expectations. Learn to accept imperfect outcomes. People with a high need for certainty often set unrealistically high expectations. They hope every presentation goes flawlessly, every proposal gets approved immediately, and everything unfolds exactly as planned. But perfection is not the norm. Imperfection is. To reduce anxiety, start by adjusting your expectations. Allow for small mistakes or revisions. Tell yourself it's okay if your presentation has 1 or 2 minor slips, or if your proposal needs a couple of rounds of edits. For example, before a presentation, remind yourself, "As long as I communicate the main ideas clearly, it's fine. If I forget a line, I can recover." Before submitting a proposal, think, "It might need revisions, and that's normal. I'll just adjust based on feedback." When you accept that outcomes don't have to be perfect, the fear of uncertainty softens, and with it, your anxiety begins to ease. Constantly feeling anxious about uncertainty doesn't mean you're timid or overthinking. It means your need for cognitive closure is too strong, and you've become overly attached to having everything under control. But life, by nature, is uncertain. When you chase certainty too hard, you end up missing opportunities, draining yourself, and falling even deeper into anxiety. True strength isn't about controlling every outcome. It's about being able to accept uncertainty and handle imperfection. Remember these 3 truths. Uncertainty isn't a threat, it's the normal state of life. Accept it, and anxiety will start to fade. You don't need everything to be certain. Real confidence is staying calm even when things are unclear. Anxiety doesn't come from uncertainty itself, but from your inability to accept it. Shift your mindset, and life will feel lighter. If you struggle with this, start by gently retraining your mind, learning not to be controlled by your obsession with certainty. In time, you'll find peace and balance amid life's unpredictability. After all, the beauty of life often hides in those very uncertain possibilities.